Well, thank you, Paul, and good afternoon. I'm here as a visiting Rotarian today, so I'd like my makeup slip before I go home. I'm a 37-year member of the Sulphur Rotary Club, and Paul Harris fellow many times over, and it's good to see my good friend Judge A.J. Blanchard here. We've attended many Rotary Club meetings together, and I look around the room, I know a lot of people here. It is so good to see Mark Drennan. Mark, thanks for all that capital outlay you got me when you were the Commissioner of Administration. I appreciate that. But not going to name a whole lot of names, but I got a lot of friends here, and it's so good to see you. So anyway, what I'd like to do today is talk a little bit about what I do as chairman of the Gaming Control Board, what that board actually encompasses. Tell you a lot about the industry itself and what it means to the state of Louisiana. And then we're going to talk about the latest phenomenon in this state called sports betting. So, by the way, LSU is a 2.5-point favorite this weekend, and the over and under is 56.5, if you want to know. So, then the Saints are 2.5 point underdogs. So, but seriously, a little over a year ago, Governor Edwards asked if I would chair the Gaming Control Board, and it was something I was very interested in doing, and I'm glad that I did it. I've been there a little over a year now. I would like to introduce my in-house attorney, Heather Hood, also my personal assistant, and she just does an incredible job for us at the Gaming Control Board because it's all about regulation. That's what we do. Do I gamble? No, I'm not permitted to gamble, nor is my wife or my children or my immediate family. So, but anyway, we have a 9-member board here in Louisiana, all appointed by the governor, but 5 of those members on the board have to come from a specific walk of life. We have to have someone from a financial background, a CPA, for example. We have to have someone from law enforcement, and so 5 out of the 9 come from a specific walk of life. The other 4 are at large. So what do we regulate? Well, here in Louisiana we have 15 legacy riverboat licenses. Here in Baton Rouge you would consider LaBerge, Hollywood, and the Bell as being one of the riverboat licenses. There are 15 of those. That's what the legislature authorized many, many years ago. And then we have the New Orleans-based casinos run by Caesars, and that's a whole separate contract I'll talk about shortly in a minute. We have 4 parimutuel racetracks that have casino operations in there, strictly slot machines, no table games. And then we have video poker. It's a huge industry. There's about 196 truck stops in this state. You see signs all over the place say casino as you're going down the highway somewhere. Well, those are video poker truck stops. And then you have those bars and restaurants who have the 3 machines. So statewide, you have over 12,000 video poker machines throughout the entire state in about 1,400 different locations. And then now we have sports betting. And we'll talk, the last part of the speech will be about that. But here in Louisiana, we do something a little differently than some other states. We are not a one-stop shop. Some states regulate gaming entirely in the Gaming Control Board office. They do all suitability, they do all licensing, they do all violations, they do everything. Those are huge operations. We do something a little differently in Louisiana, and some states do the way we do, but we also collaborate with state police gaming. Now, Heather and I work together in the Gaming Control Board office. We're located out at State Police compound here. We only have 4 employees in our office. How do you regulate the largest private industry in the state now with only 4 employees? Well, we have the help of state police. State police has about 200 employees, about 125, 130 of those are actually troopers that do nothing but gaming. And you say that's a lot of people, 200. I promise you that they're not overstaffed. They're very, very busy in what they do there. And then at the Attorney General's office, you have the gaming division there that has about 15 attorneys that do nothing but gaming. And so it's a three-pronged approach, and I like it personally because they're looking over my shoulder. They're making sure that what I do as chairman, and I do have a board. I'm one of the 9 members of the board, but I also have specific authority and powers within the state statutes on a lot of things. So my position is a full-time position. But I will tell you that the gaming industry in this state is the most regulated industry that we have here in Louisiana. XYZ business decides they want to do business here. They put in an application. They pay their application fee. They wait a few weeks. They get their license in the mail, and it goes on. The gaming industry is a lot different. There's so many suitability issues that they have to go through, background checks. A typical license application could take 6 to 9 months to actually become reality, if it becomes reality. And so it is by far the most regulated, and it absolutely needs to be. And the interesting thing is they get no business tax credits whatsoever. Now, in the introduction, Paul talked about promotional tax credits. There's some legislation that I did, and that has to do with sports betting. But that is not what businesses normally in this state get. Now, let me just say this: if a business wanted to come to Louisiana and say, "I'm going to spend $1 billion on a project, and I'm going to employ 2,000 people," the Department of Economic Development, and Mark, you'll remember this, they'll bend over backwards with all kinds of tax incentives to get them to come to Louisiana. There'll be the industrial tax exemption credits, there'll be the quality job credits, the enterprise zone credits, and other economic development incentives out there. The casino industry gets zero. They get none of that. And then on top of that, we tax the heck out of them. We have one of the highest tax rates in the country here in Louisiana. But what does gaming mean to the state budget? That's the question I always get. How much does this industry bring in, and where does it go and all that? Well, let me just say this: the single largest source of private industry money in our state budget today comes from gaming. Now, many of us in this room remember when oil and gas was the king daddy of our state budget. Oil and gas today, on a good year, may bring in about $600 million into the state budget. I served on Senate Finance Committee, so I know those numbers. The gaming industry today, and that includes the lottery, will bring in over $1 billion this year into the state budget. Over $1 billion. Now, the lottery money is constitutionally dedicated to education. This year, I think it's about $180 million of lottery proceeds that will go to education. But there are other dedications that gaming money goes to, smaller dedications throughout the state. But the majority of it ends up into the state general fund, and it's how we balance the budget of this state. And a lot of it's done on the back of the casino industry. How many jobs does it create? Right now, we have about 26,000 direct jobs in the gaming operations, in the casino operations of the state, I should say, just casinos. And in video poker, we have somewhere between 15,000 and 18,000. It's hard to track video poker jobs, but the casinos were actually at about 35,000 at one time. COVID absolutely almost decimated the industry, and they're down to 26,000 right now, but they're slowly ramping back up. But talking about the taxes I talked about earlier, the casinos in the state pay 21.5% to the state of Louisiana off of their winnings. On top of that, they pay local taxes. So the normal in a normal parish is somewhere between 27, 28%, depending on local taxes, of what they actually pay. What does Mississippi collect? They only collect 12% state tax. Las Vegas, 6%. So you see, we get a lot more than other states that we compete with. Now, New Orleans, Big Harris, owned by Caesars, is an interesting anomaly. They have a state contract. It's approved by the legislature, and that is now a minimum of $65 million per year that comes out of that one casino. Whether they do any business at all, they have to guarantee to the state of Louisiana $65 million. And listen to this, they pay their taxes daily. Every day, 365 days a year, they pay $178,000 to the state treasury. It's sent over about 2 o'clock in the morning, and it's in the state's bank account every morning, about $178,000. The racetracks they pay a lot higher. They pay about 36% in taxes because a portion of that goes to the horse racing purses. And then video poker pays anywhere from 32% with truck stops down to 26% with bars and restaurants. And so you can see that they're taxed very, very heavily. So when we rolled out sports betting, we set these rates, and we looked around the country at what other states were taxing that industry. Some tax it a lot more than we do, some tax it a lot less than we do. But here in Louisiana, on what we call retail, if you go to L'Auberge or you go to one of the other casinos here locally and you place a bet on their property, that's called retail. We tax them at 10% of their winnings. And on mobile, and then I will tell you, this is where it's really happening with sports betting right here. About 80 to 82% of all sports betting done today is done on these little gizmos right here or on your computer back home. We tax the winnings on that at 15%. And where does that money go? Where sports betting money goes? Legislature did something very smart. Early childhood education. I heard y'all talk about your project here today about going to a school and helping out. Early childhood education is the key to education in my eyes, and 25% of all sports bet revenue in this state will go to early childhood education. 10% of it's going to come back to local government, and we put some into the compulsive gambling program, a little bit goes into the horse racing purses, and so on. So what markets in the state are doing the best right now? The Lake Charles market right now only has, there's three licenses in Lake Charles, but one of them is owned by Caesars. It's called Horseshoe. It's been closed for 2 years. It was completely destroyed by Hurricane Laura in 2020, and they're rebuilding into a land-based casino now and will open in December. So we've only had 2 licenses there. Let me give a comparison. Shreveport-Bossier, which used to be the place in Louisiana for revenue from gaming, they have 5 licenses today that are active. Lake Charles has only 2. In July of this year, and I don't have, the August numbers will be announced tomorrow at the Gaming Control Board meeting, but in July, the Lake Charles market did $15 million more with just 2 licenses than Shreveport-Bossier did with 5 licenses. And so what's happened to the Shreveport-Bossier market? Indian casinos, tribal casinos in Oklahoma. At the Texas-Oklahoma border, there are massive casinos up there. There's one called WinStar that's got 8,500 slot machines in it. Now, a typical casino here in our state may have 1,500 at the very most. Most of them have 1,300, 1,400 actual slot machines, but 8,500, and they pay no taxes. And so anyway, that's what's happened to the Shreveport-Bossier market, is that Dallas market is going up into Oklahoma instead of coming over into Shreveport-Bossier. I'm very happy that a lot of our properties are going land-based. If you go down to the Mississippi River over here, Hollywood is building land-based property as we speak. They're going to spend about $80 million here in Baton Rouge building out. It's going to be a really, really nice land-based property there. And then tomorrow, it's already been made public on our agenda, tomorrow we will entertain a proposal from the Belle of Baton Rouge for them to become land-based, to move into the old atrium that's downtown, you recognize, and Paul has bugged me for the whole year I've been chairman about reopening that hotel down there. And Paul, we're going to reopen the hotel. So, and Jill, we're going to reopen the hotel. So, and by the way, Paul, thank you for your years of service. And my very, very good friend, Jill Kidder, sitting back there, and I've worked with Jill many, many years on tourism, and you got some big shoes to fill, but I know. Paul said you got big feet, so anyway, you're going to do great, but welcome, Jill. So. But we're excited about the Belle coming on to the property. The Belle of Baton Rouge is the lowest producing license in the state of Louisiana. They don't do much business there. It's just not a nice property. But they're going to spend probably $35–40 million on their redevelopment there, and we're excited about that. So let's talk real quickly. I'm running out of time here. Sports betting. 2020, there was a statewide referendum in Louisiana. Oh, let me say this. Every form of gaming in Louisiana, you can call it gambling, call it gaming, whatever, was voted on by the people. There's not one form of gaming in Louisiana that the legislature says you're gonna do. We approved it. It's going to become law. There's been a referendum in every parish on every form of gaming since gaming became legal in Louisiana back in the early 90s. So in 2020, we had a statewide referendum on sports betting. Why was that important? Well, it became sports betting at one time was restricted to the state of Nevada only. I think former Senator Harry Reid had a lot to do with that. But to Chris Christie's credit, and he was governor of New Jersey, they took it to federal court. And after 17 different court cases, they finally won in the Supreme Court and said that it was unconstitutional to allow just Nevada to have sports betting. So every other state was eligible to have sports betting at that point in time. So anyway, 2020, we did a statewide referendum here. Mississippi did theirs 2 years before us. They've been capturing all this sports bet revenue for a couple or 3 years prior to us authorizing it here in Louisiana. But in 2020, 55 out of the 9 parishes said, yes, we want to have sports betting. So what do you do with those 9 parishes that voted no? Well, they are geo-fenced out of being able to sports bet. The technology is absolutely incredible. We contract with a company called GeoComply. They have the technology to where if you're in a parish that voted no, and you try to get on your mobile app and use it, you are locked out. You could cross the road, you literally could cross a highway into a yes parish, and it's going to work. Same thing with out-of-state people. We have a lot of people from Texas, other states, Mississippi, who try to use their device to get into our system here in Louisiana, and they can't do it. They're geo-fenced out. And the technology is working great, and to our knowledge, we have not had one breach of security. We've not had one violation of that technology. It's just been incredibly successful. So why was it important for us to do sports betting? Well, not only were other states capturing revenue, but what was really happening is that they have these online offshore accounts. You can get onto an offshore account, and for years now, a number of years, you've been able to bet on your phone on these offshore accounts. The problem with that, first of all, they're not regulated, they're not safe, and we do know of people who have won significant bets on these illegal offshore accounts and did not get paid for their winnings. So if you bet in Louisiana today, you have an assurance, you are guaranteed you're going to collect your winnings. So We launched retail in late October of 2021. I think we issued 4 licenses initially, and then we added on to those. And then in the last week of January, and that was the weekend of the NFL championship games, we went live with mobile. And then that's when it really kicked in. And so let me share some numbers with you so far. And these are through the end of July. Tomorrow we'll make the August numbers public record. But through the end of July, here in Louisiana, we have now wagered $1.4 billion on sports betting. Isn't that incredible? $1.4 billion right here in Louisiana wagered on sports betting. And so what does that mean to the state budget and to local government and to the programs that we're going to dedicate? Through July, we have now collected about $16.5 million of revenue for state and local government, early childhood education, and so on and so on. The numbers will come out tomorrow. But let me tell you the important thing, what's the interesting thing, I guess you could say. We've never gone through a full football season yet with sports betting. It just started 2 weeks ago with college, and then this past weekend with the NFL. And historically, all over the country, football season is the big deal with sports betting. So we are looking forward to that. The American Gaming Association is predicting that about 47 million people this year will bet on the NFL on sports betting, in legal sports betting. Paul asked me about bookies a while ago. He said, "We still have bookies left?" Yeah, we still have bookies left. So, but it's going down. The numbers are going down significantly, and they're projecting now about 13% of all sports betting will be done with illegal bookies, and people, there'll be bookies forever. They've been here forever. They're going to be here forever. So, so we've done it. So anyway, Super Bowl weekend was just a huge event. The month of February, that's when the Super Bowl was held. We did $238 million of wagering in that 1 month. And listen to this, the very largest single bet made in the state of, in the United States of sports betting was done right here in Louisiana. $9.5 million bet by Mattress Mac of Houston, Texas. I don't know if you've heard of this guy. You need to go online. He is unbelievable. He owns a huge furniture empire in Houston. He's very benevolent. He does a lot for the Houston area, but he likes to sports bet. So what he does, he does his promotions. He's got a promotion going right now on the Houston Astros winning the World Series, and his promotion is, if you come buy furniture from me, and the Astros win the World Series, I'm going to give you up to $6,000 back on your furniture purchase. Well, how does he do that? He hedges that bet with sports betting. So what he did, he literally came into Louisiana for the Super Bowl. He drove across the state line to the rest stop there in Vinton, Louisiana, close to where I live, got on his phone. He made a $4.5 million bet that day with Caesars. And then a week later, he called Caesars back and he said, "I've outsold my bet. I've sold so much furniture, I've got to have some more action on my bet." So he bet another $5 million, and he actually lost that bet, by the way. He bet on Cincinnati, and the spread was 3.5 now, okay? Cincinnati beat the spread, but he bet straight line up on it. So he lost his bet. And let me tell you how interesting sports betting can be. If you remember in that game, the Los Angeles Rams missed a field goal. The spread was 3.5. They won by 3. Had they made that field goal, the state of Louisiana and the casinos would have won a whole lot more money. And because everybody was betting on Cincinnati because of Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and that phenomenon. So anyway, I'm gonna close out this, and I know we gotta go. We take responsible gaming very, very seriously in this state. We have a very, very active compulsive gambling program. It's the Louisiana Association of Compulsive Gambling. There is an in-house facility in Shreveport. We're getting ready to build another one in New Orleans. And we take that very, very seriously. We do have what's called a self-exclusion program here in Louisiana. If there's a problem gambler, they can sign up to self-exclude themselves from walking into a casino, and the casinos take that extremely serious. I will tell you that. They take it extremely serious. So in closing, I just want to tell you this. We do gaming the right way in this state. Not everybody, a lot of people think it's a dirty business, it's run by the mob and all that. That's not the case anymore. At one time it was, but the CEOs of these companies today come from very parts of their education or business. They're business guys. They come from the Harvard School of Business. They come from the Wharton School of Business. The head of Caesars, the largest gaming company in the whole world, has got an MBA from Notre Dame. So they're business guys. So anyway, just LSU, 2.5-point favorite. Saints, 2.5-point underdog. So go bet. We'll go. So thank you very much.